We are still on the demons, confronting the demons and addiction, and today we're talking about really the Mac Daddy, the one that sets up everything and what's happening. So stay tuned till the end because I've got some special things at the end, some things that are going to happen, and today this all starts with emotion. So we've been dancing around this the whole time. And it's really funny that we're taught to process our thoughts. We're taught about our behaviors. Mind your manners. We don't treat each other that way. Let's make sure that you understand what happened here. And then our academic world is all about this. As a man thinketh, so shall his heart be. But we've forgotten about the emotions. This is where the heart really comes in, and we've forgotten about these emotions. We don't really process those. So the gut and the heart that tell us so much about who we are completely left out. And we've been working with this unconscious line quite a bit. So the emotions are mainly under the unconscious line. So here's the thing: we understand happy. We're happy to talk about happy, but when we get into sad, or we get into angry, or we get into meh, or we get into something even crazier down here that we don't understand what that is, or there's something going on. These pink ones are the ones that we just don't get. These emotions get left out of our processing. I mean, we even have cultural statements around it. Big boys don't cry, girls don't get angry. That just, wow. That just really limits us. So we're like given a box of crayons with maybe 3 broken ones in there. Sometimes women get 6 instead of the whole 64 colors or the 126 colors or the shades of the emotions. We are left not being able to process this. What we know is we have emotions. It is what it is. We have all these emotions, and then when we get to the point, I don't understand, and then they feel out of control. They're here, but they're totally out of control, and I have no understanding of how to process them. Nobody shared with me how to handle my anger or the models that I saw. Sometimes in a family that grew up with addiction or alcoholism, an emotion happens, and then the children are told, "You didn't see what you saw." So now I'm left totally confused. I thought I saw you get really angry and blow up and throw things, but the next day you told me that didn't happen. I'm 5 or 6. How do I even begin to process that? So, like we talked about yesterday, there's a lot of untruth going on. And then sometimes it's told you should be ashamed. You should be ashamed that you were angry with your brother. You should be ashamed that you cried over that. You should be ashamed that you're happy. I mean, it can even go that way. Um, and the whole body goes, the gut goes, the heart goes, the whole body goes, help. I need a way to process this. I need a way to control this because I'm being told this is not how I should be. And we're even doing a lot of major work, especially Dr. Gabor Mate, on illnesses that happen because the emotions are stuffed. The body is not going to lie. The brain is able to cover things up, create cognitive dissonance, create stories, and we create this narrative that this is who I am. So if I can't process my emotions, then I reach for an external. And now, the external could be a drink. The external could be food. It could be running. It could be all of these things. And we'll talk more about growing the pretty plant versus the ugly plant that society doesn't like. But all of these are to deal with the internal turmoil and the internal process, and can show up as I can't sleep, I have a pain in my shoulder, I don't eat or digest well. All of these things can be stuffed emotions. You have to, this is a trifecta. You have to manage your emotions. You have to deal with them. So sometimes the external is the way we deal with our emotions. So I start having this relationship with the external to manage the emotions. And the deeper I get into that, the deeper I start managing those emotions with the external, rather than actually managing them or having connection with my loved ones or working through those or finding somebody to talk to about that, the more I will start doing damaging things to my relationships and to my lives. So maybe I start missing work. Maybe I start fudging the finances. Maybe I start isolating so that I can be with what has now become my coping mechanism. Now I use this to cope instead of actually looking at what's going on. I'm pushing it even further down into the subconscious and coping in that way. So as I began to disconnect from my relationships because I need to keep running over here to whatever I have chosen as my external manager, it's kind of like having an external hard drive. I put everything over there so that I can function over here. That is the lie of addiction. This makes me even more dysfunctional. So step with me here into the dishonesty level. I have become dishonest with myself because I've stuffed these emotions down. I'm managing with the external, and I have pushed away often what reality is. And my family has begun to notice. So as the family member, you're like, he used to show up for dinner. Why is the budget out of alignment? There seems to be something missing over here. We used to have a stockpile of whatever this is, and now it's gone. And why are he or she missing the family activities? It's because this external has begun to take over. As the addict, I'm being dishonest with myself. I'm not dealing with any of these feelings that need to be dealt with. And I'm only showing up for you, the beloved family, when I've got this managed with the external. And then as any AA person will tell you, it works until it doesn't work. Then it becomes so much that I have walked away from you, the family, and stepped way over here with the external. So as we're doing that, we talked about yesterday, I have bonded. So I'm creating this life outside of other relationships, and I've bonded over here with what I'm using for the external. To do that, I have to keep telling myself lies that this is okay. So dishonesty starts with the addict themselves. And in the book, AA Big Book, it says, those that are unable to be honest with themselves are the poor souls that do not make it out. So if you think they're being dishonest with you, they're being even more dishonest with themselves. And then that becomes a habit loop. That habit loop kicks in. I don't even remember why I started. At some point I knew, but what I know is this external is of utmost importance to me. Then you, beloved family, let's put you in where you are. You, beloved family, say, wow, something's going on. I want to help. I want to figure out. And you start asking questions. Well, asking questions means that I have to protect my external. Because if you figure it out, if you find out what's really going on, then you might take it away. And if you take it away, I'm stuck with all of this and I don't know what to do. So now, not only do I have to be dishonest with myself, I have to be dishonest with you. Because if you come in and say, hey, this is not working, and you get into my unconscious line and say this is not working, you're the enemy. That's why I have to lie, manipulate, and be dishonest with you. You are the enemy. As much as your questions are trying to help, as much as you think you are trying to set consequences, set boundaries, do all those types of things, as long as you remain the enemy, I'm not going to connect with you. I'm not going to shift. That is the craft-informed process. That is the positive communication. That is walking in the other person's moccasins. That is the key to sobriety, is no more crime and punishment. It's about connection. So as we step into that, here's what I wanted you to stay to the end for. So what we're doing is we're pushing them further away, which is totally opposite, beloved, which is totally opposite, dear family, of what you want to do. You do not want to push them away. So here we've been talking about this whole week about the demons that come with addiction. And here we've got dishonesty, or addiction equals dishonesty. To have addictions, you have to have dishonesty. They go together. And as we set that up, it's about this emotional processing and the inability to do that. So what you are doing out of love is actually causing them to go deeper and protect their external. So beloved, here we go. Let's look at this with something like the cell phone. You've got the cell phone, you're doing this. What we know is this is a dopamine hit. It is something that I go to when I feel bad. It replaces the human connection. We are more connected but less involved than we've ever been in our whole existence as humans. So just think about it that way when you go to pressure for answers, for questions, for understanding of what's going on. Here are some tips on how I want you to begin to look at that. So when we look at this, if we take all this away and we look at how this works, we're going to erase this, and you've got the external. So you're not, stop fighting the addict. Here's the key. This is the external. And then this is the connection and the family over here. And the addict, you want the addict to connect with you, right? That's the real reason you're here. That's the real reason you're watching. You want the addict to connect with you and gain health. You have to be healthy, so we have to work on your health for this to happen. The addict has created a habit of going over here. The addict has created a habit of going over here to the external. Whatever they have chosen is the external. So when you start asking questions and pushing them away from the external without offering them a way to connect with you that they can do at their level, because remember, they're not processing these emotions, then you become the enemy. You become the one who is causing them to hurt, to feel bad, to feel ashamed, all of those things. So what we are doing on this channel and the work we're doing, here's the key, the work we're doing in the small Facebook group is to help you move over into this area so that you can invite them in, so that you can connect with them and not be seen here. So that this becomes this, and this becomes better understanding. Now, there's a lot of things that go along with that. So this weekend, I want you to join the Sober on Purpose Facebook group. Jerry is going to be there. We're going to do a little something together. We're going to talk through this. We're not going to put it on this live. That's why I wanted you to stay to the end. We're not going to put it on the main page. It's going to be in the Facebook group. Join us over there. Connect with us. Share your experience and your feelings. But I'm going to leave you with something right now. We've talked about this a little bit before, but I want you to think about it. So here's what I want you to do to start moving into this area is recognize that your addict is the expert on themselves and they do have emotions. They may not be able to process them. They're in there. That person you know and love is in there. And recognize. So that's the first one. The second one is to acknowledge. Acknowledge that this is hard, that there may be some hurt things going on, that take a little bit of responsibility, that maybe you didn't act right in some situations. Then to investigate. Now, the investigate does not mean question. This often means to sit quietly, to listen, to hear what they're saying to you, both in their facial expressions, in their actions, and what things show up. The more you direct question, the more they're going to head over here to the external. This is what they're trying to protect. You've got to make it safe to come out of that. And then the last thing is to nurture. What does that look like? What does nurturing look like? Nurturing looks like, hey, when you're feeling better, I would love to spend 15, 20 minutes with you. I don't have an agenda. Maybe we could watch a TV show together, go for a walk, eat a meal. Where can you nurture the situation that's safe for both of you? That's something you need to get curious about. So this spells RAIN. Recognize, acknowledge, investigate, and nurture. It's by Tara Brach, and we're going to talk some more about her work. Thank you for being here. Remember, this weekend, we're going to figure out a time, and we're going to post that in the Sober on Purpose group. I'll post a link here. Give me a minute to do that. And really bring into yourself this idea that addiction equals dishonesty, and how you get out of it is by recognizing, acknowledging, investigating, and nurturing, not by questioning, punishing, and making the person ashamed. I'm Tanya Gioia. I coach families on how to heal the hurt and how to bring their addicted loved one back into the circle of health and to realize that they can manage their emotions. It all starts with you, the family member who is the expert.